Are you looking for a simple snack or starter to make the most out of seasonal produce? Well, if you have these, then you can make this. Stick around and I'll show you exactly how I do this. Welcome to True Freedom Permaculture, where I give you all the tips and tools you need in order to have a green thumb, even if you weren't born with one. Let's head over to the kitchen and get started. All right, first things first, we're going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, on a baking sheet, we're going to toss a pound of carrots which I'm cutting into 1/2-inch pieces right now. And you could peel these if you wanted to. I tend to not. I tend to leave the skin on. And I think I've mentioned this in some of my other videos, but if you leave the skin on, it retains more of the nutrients and the minerals inherent in the vegetable. So that's why I do that. And it's important to be cutting the carrots into approximately the same size, because then that way they'll tend to cook more evenly. Now maybe these carrots are homegrown, maybe they're straight out of your garden. I did a video on 4 reasons why you should grow carrots. So if they are from your garden, bravo to you. Also really great coming from the store too. So either one is just fine for this. Okay, so now I have my carrots on the tray here. I'm going to swap this out. And to this tray, I'm going to add 2 unpeeled garlic cloves. Now the garlic that I'm using is a little bit small, so I chose to use 4 cloves of garlic, but it's really only 2. But they're unpeeled. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon of olive oil, tablespoon-ish, and I'm going to add some spices. Just take a look at this color palette. These belong together. They're so beautiful. So here I have some ginger, some cinnamon, some cumin, and some turmeric. So these all kind of work really well together, and they give it kind of like a Moroccan style spice to it. And I'm gonna add these straight in. The thing about this too is that if you don't like these spices or if you don't have them, don't use them. Totally fine. This would be great with just salt and pepper. No big deal. So the salt I'm gonna add now, maybe, as you can tell we're being so precise here, about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm just going to give this a stir. Okay, great. So now when the oven's done preheating up to 400 degrees, I'm going to pop these in and I'm going to roast them until they're tender and lightly caramelized. And you're going to stir them halfway in between the cooking time. It's going to take about 20 to 25 minutes. And then you'll remove them from the oven and let them cool until they're warm. So I've just taken out my carrots from the oven. They're done cooking. As you can tell, they're beautifully caramelized. And my kitchen smells amazing. So they are warm, but they're cool to the touch. And that means that now I can peel my garlic cloves. All right, so if you remember, I had 4 garlic cloves in here, so I'm just gonna find them. And they still have this papery husk on the outside. So with clean hands, I am just going to peel them, and you have some beautiful roasted garlic inside. But obviously we wouldn't want to blend it up with the husk, because then it would just be bitter and kind of weird. So I'm going to discard the husks. So that's 1 down, 3 to go. And they come off really easily after they're roasted. 3 and 4. So now I can throw this into my food processor.
Okay, but before I add my carrots and my garlic that have been roasted, I'm gonna do something else first. So let's start by adding the ingredients. So I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon, and I'm going to add some tahini. And tahini, if you're not familiar with it, are roasted sesame seeds that have been ground up really fine and turned into a really smooth paste. It almost looks like peanut butter, but it has a unique sesame quality to it. And this is the base for hummus. So I'm gonna add this to my food processor with the lemon juice. Okay, and that's where we're going to stop. So just these 2 ingredients first, and you'll see what happens. Alright, do you remember what the tahini looked like before? It was very much like a paste. Well, now we have a very fluffy and light mixture. Something about the reaction of the lemon juice and the tahini together and blending it together creates this texture. And this will give your hummus a really light quality, which is nice. So now I'm going to add the rest of our ingredients. Okay, so in go our beautiful roasted carrots and roasted garlic cloves that we peeled earlier. Make sure to get all those spices that have infused in that oil now into here. Okay. This recipe originally called for cilantro. I am using sage because I don't have any cilantro at the moment in my garden, but I do have some beautiful sage growing, and sage goes well with carrots. So I'm just going to add some of these leaves, about a tablespoon, into our mixture. And you could also use parsley, would be wonderful too. And I'm going to add about 5 tablespoons of cold water. And it is important that the water is cold because it does give it a fluffier, lighter texture. And now we're gonna pulse it until smooth. Every so often I like to scrape down the sides of the food processor because there's always some pieces on the sides that are not getting blended. And I can already tell it just smells so amazing. Really aromatic. And let's scrape down the sides one more time. All right, now this time what we're gonna do is while this is running, I'm gonna add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, so let's give this a taste and see where we're at. It's pretty good. We just need to add a little bit more salt and pepper, I think. All right, we're done. So now I'm just gonna transfer this to a serving bowl. All right, so I have my serving bowl here, and I'm just going to scoop this out. Beautiful hummus mixture. Such a great color. Okay. Now last but not least, I'm going to make a little well in the center, which you will often see with hummus. And olive oil is really great for you, and we just love it. So this is essentially, I'm just creating a place to put more olive oil. Okay, so I'll pour some olive oil in the center here. Drizzle. And finally, use whatever herb you used earlier. So remember, I used sage in mine. I just chopped up about a teaspoon of it, and I'm going to garnish the top. And voila, we're all done. Pretty nice, right? Well, let's see how we did, shall we? Really good. It has a sweetness from the carrots, but it has this depth and toasted earthiness from the tahini. You can definitely taste the sage and a touch of lusciousness from the olive oil. I'm confident that your whole family will love this. You know what else would go really well with this are my crispy Jerusalem artichoke chips. And if you want to see how I make them, I'll show you in this video that's coming up now. See you soon!